Good evening. We meet in another car vlog. It is the 15th of July, the middle of the month. I've mentioned my triple joy today. First, last night I completed my young teenage Bible class. Second, this Saturday, this weekend, I shall be completing my series of sermons on Paul's letter to the Ephesians. The title is Loving Christ with Undying Love. The very last verse of the book of Ephesians, or the letter to the Ephesians by the Apostle Paul. And my third joy, or the third reason why I'm so happy today, I've received my 9 cartons of books from my publishers, Opus Publications, Kota Kinabalu. And amazingly, because I've taken delivery of the first batch of cartons 18 months ago, our agreement was that I have to take the second batch of cartons at the storeroom. But I was told that the office boy was happy to deliver the boxes of books to me. So this morning at around 10:15, I received all my books in good order. In fact, I've only sold maybe 70 or 80 books thus far. Not even up to 100 books. I've sold probably at least 200 copies of my commentary on the Gospel of John. So that was encouraging, but it's expected because I serve among indigenous churches speaking Bahasa Malaysia, Malay speaking. The Gospel of John commentary was written in Malay, so there was a greater demand. And very few of my immediate circle of friends can read English. So selling 70 books is quite a triumph in many ways. In fact, I could have sold at least 10 books in Ranau when I went up there a year ago. But I think I only took with me 5 or 6 books, and it was sold out. And I only took one textbook with me, or one departure points with me. To my former church in SIB Muhibah, Ranau. So but a friend just texted me from the interior, from very far, and she asked me whether I was going to write another book, and she suggested the book of Psalms. She was much interested in the book of Psalms. So I said, really, Psalms is one of my favorite books. I read the Psalms almost every day, if not every day. So really, hopefully by God's grace, I'll be writing my 5th book shortly. In fact, I published my most recent book in January, early this year. That was 6 months ago. And I didn't really have the inspiration to write further. I think partly because I needed to sell more books, or needed to recoup my my capital outlay, which I spent publishing 3 books on my own with little support. In fact, a couple of friends did offer some support, but it is costly to publish books in Sabah. So I'm saving up to publish my fifth book. I don't know when. I've not even written a single word. But if God so inspired, I believe that process can be very quick. 6 months or less than a year. As I've experienced previously, I can finish a good book. So today's triple joy is my departure points, and really to look at the feedback. I received at least 10 people have texted me. I've never asked for even a review or blurb or commendation from anyone, but those that bought my books or this particular book, and at least 10 have spoken to me and really gave me very positive feedback. And one young pastor in his mid-30s said that every SIB is the denomination that I belong to, Sidang Inju Borneo. He said that every SIB member should read it. And that's the purpose of me writing the book, really. In fact, it's like my memoirs, because it talks about my experience going for, in fact, the very first chapter is preparation for full-time ministry, and then into the interior of Borneo. So I didn't dwell on my childhood or growing up years and so on. I had a very short passage or paragraph or two about my life in Sandakan, and that's about it. And I have about a couple of paragraphs, a page at the most, about my law practice. And I could have written one whole chapter on my law practice. I've conducted many interesting cases in my 6 year of legal practice. So why did I write my departure point? Yes, as this young pastor texted me, in fact, my purpose is that every SIB member can read the book, because 90%, except for one chapter, it was about my Singapore's experience. So 11 chapters is really about Sidang Inju Borneo, because I've served with this church or denomination since I returned from New Zealand to Sabah in 1988. I became a full member of the church in 1989 and entered full-time service in 1994 with SIB. And it's kind of like a modern history, because I've been part of the church from 89 to 2019. So it's like a 30-year, end of 89 to 2019. It's a 30-year history, and many things have changed. Most books written on Sidang Inju Borneo or BEM, Borneo Evangelical Mission, that is our parent mission body, we focus on the early history in the 1920s when the BEM was formed, and then Sidang Inju Borneo, the name from BEM to SIB, through a general conference. The name was changed to SIB in 1959 and then registered on the 1st of September 1962. Just under 6 years, 50 years ago, we were officially registered as a religious body or as a church under the Trustees Ordinance, North Borneo. That's quite incredible, because even dissertations, I've read a couple of dissertations, they were written about the early years of BAM and SIB until the late 70s. So no book, to the best of my knowledge, has been written from the perspective of someone still serving, still actively serving the church. That's another main reason why I'm writing the memoirs. Because normally people write memoirs when they are 65, when they are retired, or when they are 70 or even 75 years old. Basically, the reason why people not write their memoirs after they retire is that they do not want to step on people's toes. There will be a lot less at stake for them personally after they retire, because they don't care, since they are no longer employed by anyone. So if anyone is offended by what the person has written or what is mentioned in the book, the author is already in his or at her old age, and nothing much is at stake. I published the book when I was 55 years old, and I do believe I have a good 15-20 years of service ahead of me. I published the book when I'm 55 years old on the basis that it is only right that I do so at this time or moment in time, because the stakes are high for my church or my denomination, Sidang Injil Borneo as a whole. I didn't offer any critique or any major critique. I just share my experience. Obviously, a couple of issues that I have written about could be seen as slightly controversial, but it's not even a critique. But I share my perspective, like how to build a building without government aid, how we raise money among church members from start to finish when I was pastor of SIB Likas or SIB Kota Kinabalu. I wrote about my experience as Treasurer General, preaching 300 times in 66 villages in my 3 short years as Treasurer General of SIB Sabah. So that's the experience that I want people to know, so that the current and also the future generation of SIB members know how church is done, how the denomination has evolved and developed in the last 20 and 30 years. So that's just part of my sharing about my departure points. Thank you for watching. May God bless you.